Welcome to the NRT Now podcast, giving you the latest in Christian music news, topics, and artist interviews directly from the largest Christian music site online, newreleasetoday.com. Now, here's your host, Jake.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 35, and we have Ryan Stevenson with us as our guest for this episode. Thanks for hanging out with us for a while, Ryan.
Absolutely, man. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Before we get too far down the line, I've been to enough Ryan Stevenson shows to know that some of the best songwriting that has come out of the Ryan Stevenson household has been from the kids.
Oh, yeah, man. Thank you for saying that, because I agree with you. My kiddos, my two boys, they started writing their own little tunes a few years back, and when they started sharing them with me, obviously I thought they were cute and adorable, but then I was like, man, these are brilliant songs. I love them. I stole them and started playing them at my shows. And it's pretty funny playing a song like Apples and Hallelujah or, Baby Sister or Crocodile in an arena full of 12,000 people. It's so crazy and so special. And it's just so encouraging to see how childlike heart stuff just continues to resonate even in the biggest overwhelming environments. It's just the simple things.
First off, we really got to make sure, are they getting the royalties from their songs, or is
they are getting free room and board? Yes, they're getting royalties.
But through this quarantine where you've been able to spend a little bit more time with them, I just am curious as to what new songs they've come out with. What are the Stevenson kids hits that are coming out of this quarantine?
I think the biggest one that they have written recently is their newest. It's called Moose on the Loose. It's just a lot of rhyming with moose and loose and juice and a caboose and those kinds of things, but it's pretty catchy.
Nice. Well, I'm excited to see those come out. I think we need to make an album of those, the Stevenson Kids album.
Oh man, yeah, we're definitely working on it for sure.
Oh, that's so awesome. So how has the quarantine been for you, and just being able to pause and not be on the road constantly and just be able to spend all this time in one spot for a while?
At first I was pretty stir crazy, but now it's actually been a really sweet window of time. It's actually been really special and a really good reset for me, because I'm not really good at sitting around. I need to be going and doing, and just kind of being forced to sit has been really healthy, and it's helped kind of shift my perspective and my priorities. I'm actually really starting to love it now. It's been great.
In the middle of all this, in just a couple days from when we're recording this, you have an album coming out. I got the chance to listen to it just a little bit early here, and I mean, first off, holy cow, dude. This is an awesome album. I mean, I'm digging with the 90s song. That's just amazing. And I was kind of at that point where I remember the 90s, but not totally.
Yeah.
I didn't live through it, but that one was a lot of fun. But I mean, there's just a lot of heart on this album. It's exciting to see this kind of music come out in such a period of time when all of our hearts are very heavy. I mean, we have the racial unity and everything. We've just had this period with the coronavirus. We've had all this stuff happen to us, just dumped on us in one fell swoop here at the beginning of 2020. Mm-hmm. And in the middle of that, we have this music that's coming out that some of it's tough. And we'll talk about some of the songs on the album that were a little bit tough, but just joy and fun and just life through it as well. What a time to release an album like this.
Yeah, I guess just to maybe add to that, thank you, by the way. I spent the better part of 2 years just not trying to write an album, but just trying to really go deep, dig deep, and find the heart in songs, because we were not going to really make a record. We were just going to do songs, and from here on out, just go a song at a time and not do a full record. And so after a year of just birthing and flushing out song after song after song, it was just so apparent, like, man, this is a collection. There's a theme here. This is a group and a family of songs collectively that all have a very powerful common heart and thread and a spirit about all of them that need to be heard as a group, as a record, as a compilation of songs and a message, not just a song here and there. And so Wildest Dreams is really just a product of that.
I've got to tell you, I mean, we'll just dig straight into the heavy stuff right away. The one that really hit me is When We Fall Apart. And I was listening to this album just today, and listening to the song this morning. We're, as a family, we're walking through losing a grandpa, and we just got the news yesterday that it's time, and we're working on everybody traveling and the chaotic and all that. I don't know, and just one of the lines in that song just talks about how it's crazy how you're the one that's keeping it together. And the parallel to that is when we got the news yesterday, when he was talking to my stepmom, his first comment was, "I'm sorry it wasn't better news." And it just,
right.
It's like, yeah, because that's the important part of all this, dude. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that one smacked me straight between the eyes, and getting ready for this conversation and just listening to that song just at the right time. I mean,
yeah,
it's only God timing. That's the only way that you can describe this. And
that's amazing.
I know, as we walk through this process, I mean, that's definitely a song that I'm going to be playing throughout this process, and it's going to walk through, and I'm sure with the rest of the family, it's going to have an impact as well. So first off, thank you for that song, and I know that was birthed out of some pain for you as well. And if I understand it right, it was walking through grieving the loss of your mother. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, my mom got breast cancer, which turned into bone cancer and multi-organ failure. And my mom and I were super close. I'm the baby of our family. I'm the only boy. I'm the only son. So I'm, just have that mother-son bond with her that she only had with me. And she was really my whole world, and was definitely the one person that I can say in my life that loved me, that I was sure of, that loved me all the time, without condition, without any boundaries. And it was her. She was a nurturer. And so losing her for me, at 30 years old, I've just such a crazy experience, because I'm 30-year-old feeling like an orphan and lost was just hard, to say the least. But I really wanted to honor her and honor her legacy. And if you know me, I hope you know a little bit of who she was, because I'm exactly like her. I have her heart. I have her passion. Talking about that song, When We Fall Apart, I just really put in to that song the legacy that I felt like she left me, and what she said, and how she encouraged, and how she nurtured, and put it into a message for people who are in stages of grief or stages of uncertainty, or we're all just people, and we're all going to experience loss to some degree. And that might look different for all of us, but one of the most powerful things that my mother ever told to me is, don't think you need to have it all together. Don't sit around and try to be strong when you're not, because sometimes you're the strongest when you're weak. Your greatest strength is really your surrender. Sometimes the only way you see anything clearly in your life at all is when you look through your tears, is when you see it through a set of tears. And sometimes the only way you heal is when you just fall apart, let go of control, stop trying to hold on, let it all fall apart, because the Lord always meets us. He always meets us in the crumbling. He always meets us when we just let go. And I just thought that was so powerful. So that was really her message to me, and it's been really awesome to see it resonate with others too.
That is a very powerful statement, a very strong message. And man, I'm so glad that you're able to pass that on, those lessons that your mom taught you, and those words that your mom taught you, that you can pass those on, and those can live past her. And I mean, it's amazing when our parents can leave a legacy on us. And I mean, it's, man, I just don't even know what to say on that one, because I haven't walked through that myself, But I just think about the legacy that my grandpa will be leaving. And I can only just hope that I can help pass that along to my kids, to everyone around me. And just
for sure.
the quiet wisdom that my grandpa has. He's always smiling. Hearing you talk about that, I'm sitting here thinking, how can I pass that along? How can I let that live on once he gets to go to heaven and hear those words, "Well done, my good and faithful servant"?
Right.
That's very powerful, man. Another one on this album is Amadeo. And you're talking about was reading through some of the bio, or the preface to the song, about just seeing a friend walk through some of the toughest parts of his life and walking through it with the strength of God. Talk us through that song, just through the heart, through that song and that message.
Well, people watch how you go through pain. People watch how you navigate storms of your life, and the way you respond in tragedy shows people who you really are and whether you're worth following, and can either give you a lot of respect or take it away. And just watching people, some friends of mine go through a life-altering tragedy, and the way they responded with such grace and obvious praise and worship to the Lord, even in the midst of heartache. And it changed me. It changed the way I perceived God. It made me look at God with a very heavenly perspective. As Colossians 2 says, keep your minds fixed on the things of heaven, not the things of earth. And watching people go through pain and still give glory to God and still honor God with their lives and say, we will honor you no matter what the pain is like here, no matter what we face here, no matter what trials or struggles we go through here on this earth as a human. God, it's my honor to serve you. You're still my God, whatever that looks like. That changed me, and that's where this song came from.
And if I'm not mistaken, are we talking about Toby Mac and True?
Yeah.
Are we talking another friend there as well?
I mean, there's, a couple. Toby was definitely an inspiration for sure. And I don't really talk about that a lot just because I really want to honor and respect him. And I'm not trying to capitalize on his son's death. And I really want to just be quiet. But the overarching story of that is, seeing Toby go through some hard times and other people as well is really kind of the birthing place of Amadeo.
The real reason I say that is not to kind of push and prop up that side of it. But a while back, I was talking with Tasha Layton, who's the wife of one of the Diversity bandmates, Keith. And she was talking about the exact same thing. That example, and just watching how they were going through this and just praising God through this. And so I kind of bring that through, like I said, not to prop it up, but to just re-emphasize the power that praising God and keeping your anchor on God, even through the storms, is a witness and shows other people God in the midst of all that. I was reading through your bio just a little bit, and one of the other pieces that is shaping Ryan Stevenson is your time as a paramedic. So went from paramedic to rock star. I'll say it's a rock star. Kind of walk us through those moments going through a paramedic that just really drew you to God and really drew you to the calling of being an artist, singing about this and spreading this across the country.
First of all, being a musician was my dream. I wanted to be a drummer in a rock band since I was in third grade. And I really got interested in music and when I was in junior high by honestly going to a Christian music festival and seeing DC Talk for the first time. That was when I really wanted to pursue music at some point, as a living, if that was ever possible. I wanted to do what they did, And so I've always had the passion to do music. I felt like there was something in my life that was revolving around that. I just didn't know what it would look like. So I played in bands and, all the way through college. But when a full-time living in a full-time married life and being a young adult with a new wife, when playing in a rock band doesn't pay your bills and doesn't provide, you kind of got to pivot. So then I went and got my paramedic license. I love the medical field. It was also another passion of mine. And so I got my paramedic license and worked as a paramedic for years, even while, just kind of independently, behind the scenes, leading worship at my church and playing coffee shops or conferences, still kind of doing both, being a paramedic, working as a paramedic, and playing locally around town, playing regionally around the Pacific Northwest. When I got signed to a record deal, I mean, it was definitely a crazy chain of events. And it was quite the transition from being, in the back of an ambulance on a crazy night or in the midst of chaos to being in a tour bus or being in a van and playing concerts. It's definitely very different.
Just a little bit, different kind of bus.
You're right.
So, I mean, with that, I mean, the other tough part about being a paramedic is you never really come to people at their highs. Mm-hmm. When you're there, that's never a good thing.
Right.
Talk a little bit about just kind of walking through that, as a Christian, just being there for people and just kind of how you saw God through those moments.
Well, again, I mean, we're all just people. And when you respond as a paramedic, as somebody who they're looking to for answers, you can pretty much guarantee that you're walking into situations where people are panicking. They're obviously in an emergency and they're looking to you for help. I always told myself, this is not my emergency. And if I'm going to do anything helpful here, I have to remove myself from this situation and remember that this is not my emergency. It's theirs. And I can help them to the best of my ability to respond in that way. Because if I get totally emotionally into it and I freak out and I get, I act like it's my emergency, I will not keep a cool head. I will not think methodically. I will react out of emotion rather than out of intelligence and training and protocol. But, that's just kind of the logistics of it. On more of the spiritual side, it's changed my life. It's changed my heart. Being a paramedic has given me an incredible sensitivity for life and for human beings, and just to approach people with care and respect. And you don't know where people have been. You've not walked in people's shoes. You don't know what their past has been like. You don't know. You can't judge people of their current circumstances because you do not know. Now everybody can make choices. I'm not saying that, but sometimes we judge a person's situation and we don't know their backstory. And their backstory typically can be very littered with hurt and pain and brokenness. And that's actually really sad. And seeing those things as a paramedic changed me. It's given me incredible sensitivity for people.
Oh, that's powerful. And it really resonates with me. What you're saying is, in the midst of that emergency, in the midst of that situation, just remaining calm, because you can't guide and you can't direct if you're falling apart along with everything. There's a time to be strong, and then there's a time to be, like what we were talking about earlier, there's a time to fall apart as well.
Yeah.
And I honestly hadn't thought about it that way from the paramedic side. There's a whole story, and I don't necessarily want to dig down into every painful moment in your past, because that's terrible of me. But I was reading through some of your bio and some of the story just through different songs and all that. And it's incredible to see just some of the things that you've walked through, just kind of through the hectic life of a paramedic. I've read about you losing twins, and to hear this album and to just hear the heart behind this album and just that strong standing on God and it's okay to fall apart, and he's still my rock and all this kind of stuff. That's powerful, because it's easy to say that when times are good and when you've had a easy go of it, if there's ever such a thing. But to just walk through that and to walk through and see some of these things and just still say, God, you are my God, you're there, you're good, is a very powerful statement.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really add anything to that other than that's just what I really hope and pray this batch of songs does, is continuously bring people back to that. He's still God. He's still our God, no matter what we go through.
The sad reality of it is, and I've talked through a lot of this that we've seen in 2020, the reality is, unfortunately, life sucks. That's just what it is. But I mean, still anchoring on that truth that, God is still there, he's still good, and he's still our God is really the only way that we can get through anything.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I agree. There's a lot of uncertainty in our world right now. A lot of moaning and groaning, and a lot of transition, a lot of change, a lot of chaos, if you will. But I feel like he's still God. And, as Christians, we should be on the forefront of proclaiming that. We should be on the forefront of really being image bearers of the good news of the gospel, and really not being afraid to let our light shine in dark places. I mean, the surrounding culture around us right now in America in 2020 is definitely not supportive of the gospel of Jesus Christ. We should all probably get used to the fact right now, if we're going to say we follow Jesus and we're image bearers of Christ, we shouldn't be expecting for our candle to shine in the daylight and to kind of blend in, but we should be expecting our light to be a candle that's in the nighttime, that stands out. That's just how I feel on the current state of where we're at right now. Is we should get used to the fact that it's uncomfortable.
That's incredible, and I very much agree with that. And one of the things that I'm saying is the church is just at a very good spot to show love, to show the heart of God right now through everything, through the coronavirus, through, the racial justice, through just even, Republican, Democrat, everything that we're throwing across a line in the middle. I mean, the church is in a very good spot to stand in that middle and show God and show love. And I just hope we don't blow it.
It just really comes down to people, individual. You know what I mean, brother? Like everybody has to take ownership on their own in their home as an individual. My heart today, Ryan Stevenson, what am I going to do when I wake up today? Am I going to operate in judgment and fear and partiality, favoritism, whatever it is? Or am I going to get over myself and realize that we are one, realize that it's not my job to convict anybody of sin. It's the Holy Spirit's job. And I don't think God really cares about my opinion on how people are living, but God cares about my compassion, and he'll be the one that sorts all that out. It's definitely not up to me. Now, I believe in the Bible, and I believe that what the Bible says is true. I just don't feel like it's my job to save anyone or convict people of any kind of sin, but it's my job to stand up for the truth, to stand up for righteousness, to stand up for justice, and to love people. And that starts with every one of us.
Absolutely. And like you said, it's going to be uncomfortable in our political climate and in our climate here in the United States in 2020. I fully agree. It is going to be uncomfortable. But I mean, you're exactly right. There's a way to stand for the truth and still love people and not be a jerk at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I want to go back to what you were saying about DC Talk, because DC Talk is what really drew me into Christian music as well. So I just want to talk about the Jesus Freak Cruise. Like, wasn't that amazing?
It really was. Gosh, that was so fun.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, it's pretty special being out on a cruise ship with the band that inspired you to get into Christian music in the first place. It was awesome.
And it's been a while since we've talked about the Jesus Freak Cruise on this podcast, and I'm not sure if people are missing it or they're like, thank
Right.
goodness, and oh crap, we're back to it. But that was amazing, and to be able to be on that and be part of the lineup for that show, like, holy cow, that must have been awesome.
Yeah, it was incredible. I'm just, again, blown away by all of this, and to be out on touring with Toby and the Newsboys and Kevin Max and DC Talk on their cruises, and it's just so special, man.
I've got to say, one of the things I remember most from the first cruise. I don't know necessarily remember the most, but I remember one of the Ryan Stevenson interactions was the Mexican night that we had on that first cruise. And what a disaster that was. Oh my gosh. I don't know if you remember that at all.
I'm trying to remember, dude.
I mean, it's only been 3 years ago. I mean, it's not been that
The
long
Mexican
ago.
night.
So what it was, the cruise line decided, I don't know if it's just kind of what they do or whatnot, but they decided that they're going to have a Mexican night taco late night snack. It was like
gotcha. Yeah.
or something like that. And
sure.
Man, were they woefully underprepared for what was coming at them. Like,
oh, those poor guys.
Oh man, I don't think they really understood how much like us Americans were going to go for taco night. It was
yeah. Oh yeah.
Poor guys.
Totally. Well, they learned.
Yeah, the painful lesson. Oh, that was terrible. But no, one of the cool things with that, we're talking with our cabin steward on that one, and one thing that I was very thankful about is he was talking about how he just noticed a different atmosphere on the cruise, and it was not as tense as their normal cruise is. And you could hear them singing, kind of humming the songs that were running through the ship and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I was very thankful that as a group that we're able to really show the difference. I mean, they're still working, we're still kind of on vacation, all that kind of stuff, but it wasn't tense and it wasn't a huge thing. I hope that we got to show just a little bit of Jesus on that cruise.
Yeah, I agree, man. Totally.
But yeah, that was definitely a childhood thing for me too. I saw them once way back in the day, like late 90s or something like that. So yeah, getting to go on that cruise for me was something special as well. Just living the childhood.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And 13-year-old me was living up a storm.
Same.
Well, Ryan, we definitely, like I said, we definitely appreciate you hanging out with us for a while and just being really open with this new album. Like I said, your heart really shows through this. And like we were talking about a little earlier, this is why I love Christian music, is just that raw that you present on this album that you've shared with us in this episode and all that, and it really comes out and just directing towards, just directing it towards where it needs to go in God and that hope and that anchor in God. And this is why I love Christian music. This is why I love getting to do this podcast. And like I said, we just really appreciate you just being raw with us here on this episode.
Yep. No problem, man. My pleasure. My honor. Thank you guys for everything you do. And thanks for chatting with me today, man. I hope it encourages people.
Yeah, absolutely. And your album comes out on the 5th, whenever you're listening to this, whether it's, before or after, make sure that you just take a moment and to listen to this album and listen to the words and just let this one soak over you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Ryan.
All right, my man. Have a good day.